Hi everyone. Hello, 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 hello. Week 9 and week 10 together. I skipped a week because I was very ill last week and I was like, should I just skip it all together? And I decided to do one big video. So it's going to be a little bit longer. Maybe not. Maybe I'll be very concise. So week 9 was very yummy and juicy. We worked on fear. She made this incredible distinction between being blocked and being lazy. And so many blocked artists feel guilty and call themselves lazy. But the truth is that is not being lethargic. That is an effect of a deeper cause, which is being blocked. And so bringing in more compassion when it comes to procrastination and feeling fatigued, lethargic, unwilling to take actions, they're all the tips of the iceberg, of this really big iceberg underneath the water, which is being blocked. And that made me think about something that happened in my past life, 6 years ago, with my beautiful boyfriend at the time, who I think was very blocked, and he was very lethargic, and he was a big procrastinator. And also, now that I'm thinking about it, my mom as well. And now seeing it with these new eyes and having more compassion for the inaction, has sort of like changed the book of history of my life. It wasn't just petty laziness. It was actually it was a deeper, more spiritual, a more sensitive issue at heart. So that was interesting. And then we talked about enthusiasm, and she says that even if discipline is a really good skill to have when it comes to artistry, I would say 20% of it has been really useful for me in terms of like committing to the art. The 80% that remains is enthusiasm. And enthusiasm is a fantastic word. It comes from the Greek, filled with God. What an amazing etymology, what an amazing meaning of the word. And being enthused with something means being filled with the life force, with God, with the incredible juice of life. And art needs that, the child inside of us, the artist child needs that. And so we must remember that. We must remember that, because yes, I've had phases of my artistry where it was very like, I'm going to do the Pomodoro technique, which if you don't know what it is, just Google it. And I do this for 25 minutes, this for 25 minutes. And it kind of worked for a bit, but then it made art feel like a chore, like work. And I was missing the enthusiasm, which, I don't know, it's a really interesting point. I want to share with you a quote that I loved from this week. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage, by Anais Nin. Oh my God, right? Life expands or shrinks depending on your courage. I am just absolutely baffled by the magic of this quote. And it's so true. I completely agree. And that's why it takes so much courage to live the life of your dreams, because you need to keep expanding and work with the fear. And it's terrifying. And why is someone courageous and why is someone not? I don't know. The answer that's like calling me right now is that's just what type of soul you are. Like, I'd like to believe that I'm very courageous in life with my fears, but as a standard, I'm a courageous being. I jump in, I show up, I try new things. I've taken one-way tickets to Spain when I was 21 and then, came to London by myself, and I completely lost my train of thoughts. But basically, yes, I just thought this was an incredible quote that I want to remember. Then she talks about creative U-turns, and this is a very interesting / peculiar bit, because basically a creative U-turn is the gods are giving you something, aka you're sending a song to someone and they want to play it on the radio station, and then for some reason you sabotage it. For some reason you don't use that as an inspiration to then send your songs to more radio pluggers, but you just sort of go, okay, whatever, let's do something else. It's not going to happen again. And I was thinking about my life and whether I had that. And I guess partially I did. But it feels like the issue for me was something slightly different, which was just obsessing over reaching as many outlets as possible just to get that imaginary faraway mirage of a life that was happier, there was more followers, more money, more whatever, instead of doing the work internally, which is, I know what this work is worth, I know what I am worth as an artist, I know what kind of artist I am, then the outside will reflect. So it was very like, oh, I'm going to change the 3D, change the outside world, instead of I'm going to change how I feel towards my art, and then the world will follow. And I think that is the right way to do it. The least effortful way to do it. So stay tuned and we'll see what happens in the next few weeks and months, right? Yes, then we had this very powerful exercise called blasting through blocks. She asked these questions. She goes, list any resentments, anger you have in connection with this project. And the project I had in mind is this upcoming album that is going to be, I've got really good singles, really great songs, a really defined image, and I've got this project, it's here. And she said, yeah, write down if you've got any resentments towards this, no matter how petty, irrational, whatever. And I wrote, vulnerable times. I resent not knowing how to raise funds for my music. Yeah, it fucking upsets me. I feel like I could have done so much more if I had had more money, but money was always a block. And so that made me feel really angry. I resent not having any connections in the music industry. I'm doing this completely solo at the moment. The plan is obviously to connect and meet as many people in the industry as possible, but I started from zero, from scratch. And that made me angry because it does. And then this is a bit, so my producer is fantastic, but I have this feeling, since I'm not, he works with like really big artists. He's like playing the big game. And I am really talented and I've got loads of potential, but I'm not there yet, right? And so I can feel sometimes that my artistry or my music or my project basically goes down in importance if something else comes their way, which I understand, but it still makes me angry. And I'm like one day this will change, one day you'll beg to work on my stuff first. But yes, so that was that. And then she says, asks your artist to list any and all fears about the projected piece of work. What are you scared of, right? And so I wrote, I'm scared it will be a flop. I'm scared it will not be successful after all the hard work and the heart put into it. And I'm also scared I'm not going to know how to market it well. This goes back to the whole, I need to change the outside world to make things happen instead of like trusting. Because it's like, marketing an album, marketing your project can be done in like thousands of ways. And there's a fear inside of me which goes, but what if I don't do it the right way? And on this note, I can just share, it's been a very powerful couple of weeks. I've had this sort of Kundalini awakening experience. And it was done through a practitioner slash friend of mine here in London, and it was riveting, explosive. You know, eye mask, music, energy shifts, calling angels, language of light, so many things that I could talk about for hours, but I was having convulsions. I was having orgasms slash convulsions slash screaming slash laughing, and I saw this huge release of the trauma that was hiding inside my body. And I just saw messages. There were messages for me, and one of these was like, I just saw my whole life and all the struggles that I went through, and seeing life as like one continuous big day instead of like days and weeks and months, and it was like this whole really coherent, connected journey of getting to here. And the most magical thing happened when I pulled a card out of the oracle deck. There's always oracle decks. Oracle. And it was such a powerful, strong message. It was making waves, like achievement. You're going to harvest. You're about to reap all the efforts. They're coming to fruition. Just keep going. It's great. Just surf the wave. And there's an interesting, I've got an interesting relationship with water. I'm very connected to water. I've been told many times, I can feel it. My father was a fisherman. I've got loads of family in Sicily, which is a beautiful Mediterranean island. I've got a strong connection with water, and you know, I cry a lot. I'm very connected to the tears, and I'm as a relationship to emotion. And I have dreams, very vivid dreams, and many times these dreams include tsunamis and they include avalanches, well, like waterfalls and just cities being flooded, and me like swimming, floating, boats and rafts, and there's water is always very present, and this card was making waves, so it was about surfing the waves. So I don't know, I'm just feeling really hopeful, positive, even if I just sit for a second and I look around me, I'm like, oh my god, everything's falling apart, my life is a mess, what the fuck is happening? If I connect to something more invisible and deeper and a voice inside my heart, I can just feel guided. And that was a really powerful message that I needed to hear at the time. So yeah, wow, a little bit of a digression there. And then she says, ask yourself what you stand to gain by not doing this piece of work. And in a way, I've done the piece of work. It's really about time and money. But I said, you know, if I don't post anything about it. So actually, yeah, tomorrow, I'm going to post my first TikTok/reel with my new song. I'm going to do what loads of artists are doing, promoting the song on social media. And I've been delaying this for a long time. I've had the song sort of like a good enough draft for a while. But I was like, no, I need it to be mixed and mastered. I need to be in this space. I need to have those outfits. And I was just delaying it, right? And I was like, okay. I found the courage, mustering up the courage to just post it. And from there, see what sort of feedback it gets. It could be the smallest of things, I don't care, but it's important that I just do it. And so she says, make your deal. Okay, creative force, you take care of the quality, I'll take care of the quantity. It's like, post it, do it. So that's what I'm gonna do. So this week, I've also just went back to the piano a little bit. I'm looking at it right now. I'm leaving this house in a few days. I'm going to Rome, going back home for a bit. So probably will not have access to a piano. Mine is in a storage room at the moment. But I was called in, and I remember the chords, and I was playing this song called Queen of Your Moon that I wrote. It was the last song I wrote for my ex. We'd broken up. I wrote like almost 10 songs that summer. Very beautiful, I think, really sad, really powerful ballads. But This was the last one I wrote, and I still remember writing Queen of Your Moon. And then I think as soon as I finished singing it or whatever, I was like wailing all the time, and a hailstorm appeared. And from then on, I associate hailstorms with a very powerful shift, like entering a new phase. And a week ago, I was getting my nails done here in Homerton, and at one point, suddenly, bam, hailstorm, just on the floor. And I was like, what is this reminding me of? And it was that song. And so I played it again, and it was like, I still got it, you know, after it's been almost 3 years since I wrote that song, and I got back into it, and it was beautiful. Yeah, as an exercise of confidence, I was like, okay, let me just play the song, record myself without being pretty, without being polished, whatever, and then just play the song and post a little bit on your Artist Way video. And I'm doing it now. Let's see. Just a mistake. Stars mixed. He's moved to this is all in my head. Your eyes been all your times, but I believe my love letters were sent. Buzz thought I can tell your heart beats for me wildly, baby, but you're all the dove now. You've sent me to Antarctica, bye-bye. Sent me to Antarctica. Can you feel my heart, oh, dying inside? 'Cause I can feel my heart dying inside. So there you go. Lao Tzu says, be really whole, and all things will come to you. Bello, no? I think it's beautiful. So this week, we're on 18 minutes, but that's fine. This week, she says, start reading your morning pages. So it's been 3 months, 2 months and a half of writing morning pages every day. And she said to us in the beginning, do not read them, just write them. And now she goes, you can go back now and highlight any insights that you might need. Oh my God. I was like, yeah, this is like incredible. I wonder like how many things I can discover. But she says quite a few things about like the morning pages. She says, take heart. Many of us notice an alarming tendency toward black and white thinking. He's wonderful, he's terrible, whatever, and it's true. And she also says to acknowledge the pages allowing us to vent without self-destruction, to plan without interference, and to complain without an audience. So it's like reading the morning pages felt like watching a film of all the most intense, dramatic, sad moments of the last few months, and like really feeling somewhat scared of how sad, angry, and hopeless I could get. But then most of the time, as soon as I have finished complaining or just releasing dark energy through the pages, then there's always like a really bright, positive, hopeful bit. And those are the insights that I've highlighted. But I've only done like 5 days. I've only managed to do that for like the first 5 days because it's very intense. After a couple of days, I'm like, whoa, okay, I need to like do something else now. So I'll keep doing that, and I'll keep checking for like important things. And then she talks about visualizing, right? So I've got specific dreams, and they're very clear, and they're very big, and they're very exciting. And I've written them down like this. So first of all, in a perfect world, I have this, or I am this. And then she asks you to identify the true north of this dream. Let me give you an example. In a perfect world, I live in a comfortable, spacious, luminous house of my own, in a great residential neighborhood with private parking, with lovely neighbors that are close enough to feel in a community, but far enough for me, far enough from me to be as loud as I want to. So that's the dream, right? And then the true north is, how will you know? What are you trying to get from this dream? What is it that you're trying to evoke in your life? And I wrote down safety, peace, and space to create and space to host. And then she asks you to find some concrete goals, meaning some specific moments that will let your soul know that you've achieved that dream. And I wrote these two. First concrete goal is that I'm waking up after I am settled in this new house and I'm making breakfast in my very own kitchen. That's sort of morning, right? And then the second one is my first housewarming party. I loved hosts and I haven't had any chances to in the last maybe ever. Never really had my own space, which has caused me immense pain. And so that's like a concrete goal for me. But then going to this week's exercise, which is visualizing, right? She says, after you've done all of this, you write down a visualization and you be as specific as possible, and then you read it out loud every day to really get clear and to really start feeling as if this is true. And these are, like, I've done it for a whole week now, so they're very imprinted in me. I'm not going to share all of them, just out of like timings issues. But I will share one. And one of these is this dream. I want to tour many cities with my music and I want to sell out venues. The true north is feeling total meaning, present moment, exciting exploration of art, spiritual rituals, and connection to human beings. The concrete goal is me being backstage with my crew, about to go on stage at a sold-out Eventim Apollo. I don't know if I had shared this before, but I had this done on Photoshop. This is a very cool venue that I love in London. I saw amazing artists there, and I just wrote down Nevada Red as a little manifestation, cute little thing. And so, yeah, the concrete goal is selling out this venue. And there's also another concrete goal, which is I'm tucked in my tour bus looking out after the night highway. I know, very specific. So this is a visualization. Are you ready? I am finishing my warm-up and I'm stretching. My 4 dancers are all ready and they're giggling to themselves and with me. James is there, my wonderful friend, and beautiful person in my life, and my manager too. I say a prayer out loud with everybody. The manager tells me that the venue is sold out. I am proud. I am happy. I hear the beginning of the intro. I just go on stage and I sing and I dance and I inspire. I hug a fan. I laugh with my audience. I express all of my soul. I give a bow. I thank everyone. And then I go backstage. And Ray comes to me. She was in the audience and she congratulates me personally. We hug each other. We have a little moment. And then I go and do my meet and greet. I hug and I chat and I take photos with my favorite, not my favorite, sorry, I didn't write favorite, with my beautiful fans. I then shower, I change, And I go and meet some friends and some like people from the industry at a members club in London to just keep on going. And we eat and we drink and we just end the night like that. Then I am in the tour bus and the whole tour is sold out. I am on the road in a week. And the tour bus starts in Lyon, France. We fly there with my bodyguard team, my actual team, and a couple of friends. And I perform in Lyon, and the first night is done. And then we are driving from Lyon to Paris. And I am in my tour bus, and I open up the curtain, and the moonlight is shining on this very dark landscape, and it's very silent. Yeah. I also added an extra bit in these dreams exercises, which is the soundtrack of these dreams. Like, what's the soundtrack of this dream? And I wrote down the song that I will play on stage. And it's one of my favorite songs from the album, the little EP. It's called, should I share? I will share. It's called What's Your ETA? And it's really intense and explosive, and that's going to be the soundtrack of this dream. So I've done that. It's been very powerful. It's been very like, I want them now. How can I get them now? But also like, okay, I also know that when you write things down on the page, the universe listens. So we'll see what happens. God, I've been speaking for 27 minutes in a row. Imagine being my partner. I have to have a remote control saying, shut up now. Pause. I think that's it for the first week. Then artist dates. I went to the event in Apollo and I went to see Loreen. Love Loreen. I was really far away. I was seated like row Y circle, and I hate being far away from the stage. So I was feeling really frustrated, and like I was feeling it was intense. I was like, what am I doing? My life is a mess. I'm feeling really self-pitiful. And then I was like, okay, let me just connect with this beautiful stage. This is the stage I want to perform in, right? And I started studying Loreen, who was incredible. She remixed too many of my favorite songs. I wanted the originals just because I'm so fond of them. But she was an amazing alien-like performer, and her voice is incredible. But before she came in and after the opening act, I put on some headphones and I completely dissociated from my surroundings. And I just connected with me being on that stage. That's all I did. So I was playing all the songs that I want to perform as an opening act or as a first tour. And I sang them all in my head, and I saw myself on that stage. And it was really powerful. It felt really great. It felt really, really great. So yeah. Oh. God, should I just stop the video here? It's so long. I think yes, right? I don't have to share everything, do I? I'll share two last things. Yeah. Something to bring back positive, lovely, amazing, bright energy is to write cherishing things that you cherish that happened to you recently and that you just want to remember. I had an orgasm last week. It had been a while and it was fantastic. I went for a full run after feeling quite lethargic and still for a long time. It was so sunny and I just went for this amazing run and I felt really good. My dear friend Emanuele, who's also my mentor, commented on my next single saying, outstanding. He said spaziale, which means from outer space. So that felt really great. And on that note, as a little test, I sent the song, it's going to be months before I release it, I think, but I sent it to a radio station and they got back in touch saying they love the song and they would love to play it. So that's a great sign. That's a great sign. They want a clean version because the song is a bit, it's a bit dirty. It's not dirty, it's explicit. I don't hold back. But it felt fantastic to receive that feedback. Yeah, I was chatted up on an overground train. It feels like I'm living like a rebirth sort of period in my life. I feel confident, pretty, sexy as much as possible. And then these are like just signs coming from the universe saying, yeah, you've got it, baby. And yeah, he talked to me and we had a chat together and he asked for my number and it felt really good. Didn't really text much after that, but who cares? It was more about the symbol. And last thing that I'm going to share is that I baked a stunning cake. Chocolate coconut cake. Yeah, I think this is a good ending to this week. I want to share one last thing, which is she talks about originality, saying that it's okay to steal / take from other artists and other works of art and then make them your own, because an original work of art means that it originates from you. So even if you copy something, it will still be original because you will have given it your own. And it's beautiful to see art like that. You know, we're not really creating anything new. I'm using quotes because everything is relative, right? Because everything is new, but everything is also not new. And I love that. I love seeing art like that, you know? Yeah. I'll say goodbye now. I love you so much. Thank you for being here with me, whoever you might be. And I hope to see you soon.